Welcome everyone to a new update, and today we'll cover everything you need to know about the current price action of Bitcoin, as we are seeing a ton of volatility. But in this update we'll also dive into the news from the past 48 hours. Before we're going to continue, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and also like this YouTube update if you enjoy the content that we're bringing out. And if you really like what we do, we also have a trade letter with the latest altcoin setups, market information and market analysis. And today we're doing altcoin setups, and you can try it for free for 1 week in the link in the description beneath. The same goes for the premium membership, which covers my personal trades and trade IDs and way more on educational content on trading and investing. This can also be tested for 1 week for free. The past few days were absolutely crazy on the markets, as we have seen an ocean of news, and I couldn't even keep up with all the news. But we'll be diving into the ECB and the speech of Lagarde. We'll be diving into Powell as well, and he was also mentioning crypto briefly, as Gensler was doing the exact same. Then finally some crypto news came out too, which we'll be discussing in this update. But first we'll go towards the ECB data. The major news was the fact that the ECB for the first time ever decided to raise interest rates by 3 hikes, which equals 75 pips, and no one voted against. It's the first time ever that this is taking place, inducing that we'll be seeing more of those hikes in the future as well, and Lagarde stated that they will be most likely going to imply more hikes in the coming 5 meetings. Secondly, we've seen the fact that Powell started to take the stage after Lagarde and was answering questions on the policy that they are doing right now. Funny enough, the reason for the inflation wasn't the amount of money they printed. No, it was actually the fact that COVID started. He said this while in the meantime the mortgage rates on the US housing markets went through the roof, and they came towards a new high, which is 5.89%, which is the highest since 2008. He also said this while in the meantime the jobless claims came in. Those were lower than anticipated, which is better, but the important one isn't the case, or isn't this current number, but it's the continuous jobless claims, which was way higher than expected. The jobless claims were 220k, while 235k were expected, and it's lower than the previous one at 228k, which you would say would be bullish for the markets overall. However, the more important version is the version we've got regarding the continuing jobless claims, which came in at 1.47 million, while expected was 1.44 million. What does that tell you? Well, it does tell you that the people are majorly focused on the short-term data. People are focused on the hikes of Powell, while on the other hand QE starts to kick off again, as recently multiple countries have stated that they'll imply QE for energy bills. This means that most of you are focused on the wrong angle, the hikes, and also most of you are focused on that the winter will be terrible, but maybe we're actually at the peak of that crisis and worse is already right now. We got a ton of scenarios ready to being applied, but the edge is that QE and QT are there already. QT was the core focus, while on the other hand, multiple countries, including the US, are using QE. Going back towards the data and a small conclusion of this part, we've seen the fact that the ECB is hiking interest rates, which is positive for the euro. On the other hand, jobless claims came in way worse, as continuous jobless claims are rising, which means that people have a hard time finding a new job, which shows the first impact on the looming crisis and the potential reversals and pivot on the policy from the Fed. Let's have a small part on the news within crypto. We've got 4 important points to discuss on the news regarding crypto in the past days. Gary Gensler and Powell stated a few arguments on crypto in their speeches. Gary Gensler primarily focused on the regulation of non-backed cryptocurrencies, while Powell has his remarks as well and stated that stablecoins could play an important role into nowadays financial market. He then firmly added that he wants to see regulation on stablecoins as well. The second one is the fact that Coinbase is filing a lawsuit against the Treasury Department following the sanctions on Tornado Cash, which will be a showcase on how legal is going to act and react on these cases, as we'll see them more often. The third one is the fact that the US seized 30 million of funds from a hack. Those were cryptocurrency were stolen by North Korean linked accounts. Finally, and probably the most important one, is Fidelity is opening the gates toward retail customers in November, which is one of the largest players in the world, as they got 4.3 trillion under management and retail clients can register already in September. What does that mean for the markets? Let's just have a small summary, and after that we'll dive into the charts. The markets have been volatile in the past days, and the focus is still on the US dollar, as that is the one showing strength. However, as the entire space and sentiment is so bearish and the expectations are that we'll already continuing the hikes, it seems an apparent case that we're getting the fact that the worst is priced in already, and that's heavily contrarian to what everybody thinks. Maybe we don't go towards 12k, and maybe we don't have a dollar that continues to run, but maybe we could be having a dollar topping out relatively soon, as data, if you take a little bit more time in digesting the data, is actually looking worse and worse, and the Fed is simply can't keep up with this policy. So what about crypto? Let's dive into the charts for a quick higher time frame overview. When we're looking at the TA, we can definitely conclude that the dollar is mooning upwards. In that case, we are looking at the edge of a potential reversal, as that will also give a bearish divergence on the RSI, which I've been covering a lot. And this candle shows us that the coming week might be bearish for the markets for the dollar, which implies that the risk on is going to have some period as a whole. Okay, so CPI is coming in next week, but we also saw today's numbers, and we also are already pricing in the worst, which is that we're pricing in a ton of hikes, which is that we're pricing in a very bad winter, which is that we're pricing in a continuation of the war with Russia and Ukraine, and even more. So in that case, what do we see here? We see that the run on the dollar is still going on. However, it looks to me that we're getting an extended version, or that we are at the actual peak, as also Euro USD is currently showing a little bit of strength, still has to reclaim 101, and if it reclaims 101, we might be continuing the move here. So although people are watching the continuation of the bear market for crypto, I think you should be looking at a potential case of a short-term reversal, especially since if everyone is watching something, it usually happens the other way. And that's what we are watching here when it comes to the dollar. When we're looking at the yields, we are also getting towards a peak high, and especially on the monthly candles, you can argument that we're getting towards a potential reversal, which we're usually getting if we take out the high, then we just reverse and have some consolidation. So this is the next one that you should be taking care of, and if you think that you should be watching this, argument why and how you're going to invest. And if the yields are going to fall, which could be through worse economic data, which could be through jobless claims coming in bad next week, which comes in through CPI dropping, which primarily is focused on oil, which is currently correcting even more. So we are already getting negative CPI data next year if the prices are going to drop all the way to $60 and stay there. So the Fed already knows this, which means that we probably get into the edge of 1 or 2 months maximum. But as the investors are pricing in the worst, I think that the pain is not on the downside but on the upside at this point. When we're looking at the Nasdaq, question is, how are we going to move from here? Right now the weekly is green. However, we could still be sweeping the low or retest the low. And we could also be getting into a case where the dollar is going to drop down as the euro is getting more strength because of the hikes, as they start up the entire policy that the Fed has already been using. And the Fed is releasing the tension a little bit and going towards QE, which means that the euro dollar could be going up and the dollar down, while stocks are still consolidating towards new lows as bad earnings are coming in. And the question is, how is crypto going to react to it? And I think that crypto could be going up with the euro at that point and not fall down with stocks. But that's something we have to see. Once again, these weeks are very important to look at when it comes to the markets. Now, when we're going to watch crypto, it is not too important to watch the 200-week MA on the total market cap, or it's actually very important. It is not too important to watch this on Bitcoin, as it doesn't make that much sense. The total market cap 200-week MA is something to watch. If this is going to hold, we potentially are going to see a big green week next week, which is resulting into this being the low. End of conclusion, as then the 200-week MA is going to settle down, and if the reversal is going to take place on the policy from the Fed, we might be running all the way towards 2 trillion again in the coming 4 to 6 months. So this has to hold, and in that case, I preferably want to look at longs overall. When you're looking at Bitcoin, we can definitely say that we're accumulating here. We are still into the path of retesting the previous all-time high and retesting the lows again. Lots of buys happening here. It's staying relatively neutral as a whole. The question is, are we going to reclaim 19.5, which might be happening in this video already. But I think the core view of this point is that we are still on a 200-week MA on a total market cap and getting towards the climax of the dollar. So let's get towards the conclusion of this update. Thank you for watching this update. It has been a little bit longer. However, we have been covering all the news. We have been going a little bit into depth when it comes to the economic data, and we have been covering the higher time frames on crypto. Tomorrow we're going to do some FA, and also on Sunday we're going to cover some more on TA and how I value networks. I hope you have been enjoying it. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel and like this YouTube update. I'm back tomorrow with a new and fresh update. Remember, stay calm, don't do stupid shit, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Ciao!